I'd like to talk about they want to fix me. But before we talk about that, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the first time, you're very, very welcome. I really appreciate it. So they want to fix me. Now, many of you know who watch these videos, not many do, but those of you who do watch my videos will probably know that I very sadly lost my son around just over 4 years ago. It's 4 years and 3 months actually. And that I am a bereavement counsellor and I support women who have also experienced child loss. And so many of my clients say to me, you know, they'll probably, I think just about every client has said to me in one session that so-and-so has said this to me, so-and-so said that to me. And what they've said is they're leading to wanting to fix it all for that person. So let me give you some examples. One example is when I've been supporting someone who has had a miscarriage or very sadly experienced stillbirth, so lost a child. And when people have come to sort of pay their respects, people have said, oh, but you're so young and you can go on to having more children. But the thing is that, you know, so if you look at it from the perspective of the person who's just said that, what they're saying is, oh, but this is how you fix it. You know, it's quite bad what's happened to you, but this is how you fix it. You just go on to having another child. Those of us who have experienced miscarriage or loss in that way know that if you have gone on to having multiple children afterwards, you are not going to, the pain of losing that child isn't going to go away. You can't fix it. It doesn't make it go away. So what do we need to do? So you saying that at the moment of, you know, they've just lost a child, for you to say, oh, but you can go on and you can have another child. Well, don't they already know that? I'm sure they do, because they got pregnant in the first place. I'm sure they know, you know, that they can get pregnant again, or how to get pregnant. So, you know, it's almost like stating the obvious, isn't it? Well, yeah, I'm sure they know that, but that's not really what they're thinking about right now. I wonder why. Well, because they've just lost a child. So what we need to do is validate what that person is going through right now. And yes, it could be a conversation that, you know, if it's a friend, that you might, you know, give them a little nudge later on. And it depends on how close you are to that person. It depends on, you know, your relationship with that person. You know, whether you could actually ever suggest that. Well, you could go on and having another child. But the thing is that it's quite, you know, I think it's just undermining someone's intelligence, because they know that. We don't need to say that at that point. You know, we can't just come in and wave our magic wand and make it all right for that person. We need to sit with what it is that that person is going through, and what that person is going through is grief, loss. They've been bereaved. They've had a loss. They've experienced a loss, and there's pain in that. There's a void there. There's a hole there that's been left. You can't just go in and just fill it for them or wrap it around in cotton wool. And it's probably coming from a good place. It's probably coming from a place of kindness. It's not coming from a place of, I'm not saying that it's coming from a place of, you know, unkindness, or it's coming from a place of ignorance, but it's not, it's probably coming from a place of, you know, the person is trying to be helpful and say the right thing. But it's also you wanting to go in and fix it. And then it makes it about yourself, not about them. Because it might be uncomfortable for you. You know, that might be your friend. And you might feel that you've lost that friend. They're not quite the same person, but that is the honest truth of it. They might not ever be that same person ever again. So what does that mean? That means that you need to sort of almost like re-establish, reinvent that relationship. And if it was a true relationship in the first place, it will withstand. that change. And if it wasn't really a true relationship, then it might crumble. It might do. Yeah. So, you know, my clients, you know, do share that quite a lot, where people are just coming in and trying to fix me. Another example that I've heard a few times is when someone has lost, and this isn't about losing a child, this is about losing a spouse, losing a husband. And I do counsel I do counsel women who have had other losses other than children as well. You might be thinking that, so another thing that people might say to somebody who has just lost their husband is, oh, you're young and you're pretty and you're attractive and you could get married again. But that's almost like saying that, because you're, I don't know, your phone's broken and you throw it out and just buy a new one and just get another husband. And again, it's coming from a place of ignorance, but it's probably coming from a place of kindness. No one means any harm by saying what they're saying. They just want their friend or their loved one to be okay again. Yes, but you still have to validate and give that person time to sit with what they've experienced. They've experienced a loss. You can't go in there and just wave your magic wand and make it all right by suggesting that they can get married again. I'm sure that's something that they could think about. Probably not then, but sometime down the line, it might be something that pops into their head and think, they might contemplate that. Or it might be something, again, depending on your relationship, how close you are to your friend, or you might be a member of your family, that you might suggest that, but not when you're there to pay your respects. And not while that person is very visibly grieving the loss that they've experienced. It's not something that you would then suggest and say, maybe you'd think about getting married again, because you're just then replacing, that void, trying to replace it and fill that void and trying to replace that person with another person. How can that be helpful? How can that be, a good suggestion, at that time? So, yeah, we want to, I know we mean well when we do suggest these things to someone we care about, but we have to try and put ourselves into that person's shoes. So we need to empathize, not sympathize, but empathize, put ourselves in that person's position. And we can't really truly do that for even if you were also someone who had lost a child or lost a husband. You can't feel what that person's feeling, because that person's grief and loss is unique to them. Yours is unique to you. So you're never really going to know exactly what they're feeling or thinking. You might have a good idea. You might be able to relate to them because you've had similar experiences, but you're never really going to know exactly what they're feeling and thinking. So for you to suggest anything like that, just by sort of having another child or getting married again, isn't helpful, So we need to think twice before we do that. So yeah, the trying to fix me is something that I do hear a lot about, and I think, oh, here we go again. It's not the first time I've heard this, and it's probably not the last time. But I think by making videos such as this, with this kind of content, might shine a light on things where we think that we might be saying the right thing, but just think twice. If it was me, would I want someone to say that? Does that make any sense at all? Is it something that they couldn't think about themselves? So if you thought about it for a few seconds, you probably then wouldn't actually say it. So be mindful about that. Okay, I hope you found the content of this video helpful. Please do share, please do like, please do comment, please do subscribe. But thank you to all those of you who have subscribed. I really do appreciate it so much. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, look after your hearts and souls. Thank you.